Welcome to the Existential Empath Podcast. My name is Tanya and I am an intuitive empath. My intention is to share valuable tips, tools, and techniques that I have learned so you can tap into your own inner healer naturally and intuitively. I wanted to talk a little bit about the human energetic system and how it can get drained if we don't know how to properly nourish it or protect it. And I want to talk a little bit about empathy burnout and compassion fatigue, because I come from a background of working in the healthcare system, and I struggled with my own personal compassion fatigue working with grieving families for many years. And I didn't really know how to revitalize my energy or to protect my energy when I was in those situations. So I thought I would put together a video that could be helpful for some of you who are either caregivers or those of you who are maybe working in a healthcare field or a teacher. This really can apply to anyone. So I don't want to kind of put anything in a box, because compassion fatigue really can hit anybody, and it can hit you at any time in your life when you sometimes aren't even really expecting it. So how many of you can actually relate to some of these statements? My body hurts all the time and I really don't know why. I really want to go, but I just can't. I'm exhausted, and quite honestly, I just want to crawl into bed and go to sleep. That person is so draining to be around. I think I'm just going to avoid them for a little while. I feel like I can never get enough rest. I am always so extremely exhausted. For me personally, I could really relate to almost all of those statements. I worked in the organ procurement field for, more than 15 years. And I was working in a high acuity, high stress environment where we were one-on-one with the staff in the intensive care units and in the emergency departments, and also working with my own staff when we would go back, to our offices, or we would be working with them in the hospital setting, and working with physicians and other groups of people who were in the hospital setting that were working with these grieving families. And for those of you who do work in a hospital setting, you understand the intensity of it and how it can be very, very stressful. So I was putting in long hours, long days, and I personally wasn't taking care of myself. I was doing the best that I could. I was trying to eat healthy and trying to get out and take walks during the day if I could, but a lot of my job was driving from hospital to hospital. And I began to realize that my energy was just completely drained all the time. I just didn't feel like I could get enough rest. And I would plan a 1 to 2 week vacation one time a year, and it usually was on a cruise, so I didn't have to have any contact from anyone, because I like to be able to shut my phone off, because the job that I had, it was just nonstop. My phone was constantly ringing. I was constantly getting emails, and I literally had no time to rest, and it was just exhausting. So for me, I could really relate to a lot of those statements, and that's why I wanted to share them to see if there's any of you out there who may resonate with those feelings of exhaustion, those feelings of not getting enough sleep. Even if you slept 10 hours a night, you still feel totally drained and tired. I would go on vacation, and the first 2 days, it would take me just to get acclimated to the vacation. I felt like I had to just completely knock myself out for 2 straight days, and it took away 2 days of my vacation. So let's talk a little bit about what is energy and why is it so important. And I started to learn a little bit about energy on my own healing journey when I went through a lot of these trials and tribulations on my own. So energy is the ability or the capacity to do work, all right? So when we eat or we drink, our bodies transform that food or that water into energy to do work, right? So when we run or we walk, we actually burn energy in our bodies. And when we interact with others, we can pick up on their energy as well as hand off our own energy to people. So that is a key point that we will discuss a little bit later. Everything is energy. Everything around us is made up of energy. So what happens when our energy is out of whack or isn't balanced. A lot of those things I stated before, right? We are completely stressed out. And then that can lead to chronic stress, chronic fatigue, headaches, tension in the shoulders and in the back. We may feel frustrated and start lashing out at people. We have a hard time expressing ourselves. It's like we're a pressure cooker just ready to explode. I know that was kind of my experience. I would hold it all in when I was working with the families in the hospital, and then I would come home and lash out on a family member or a friend. And I wasn't doing it purposefully. It was just because I was having such a difficult time processing all those emotions that I was feeling, and I didn't know how to process them. I was having a really hard time with that. It can lead to feelings of failure, feelings of breakdown, feelings of having an absolute mental breakdown. You just want to hermit. I felt like that. I went to the hermit stage for a while. I literally would come home from work, strip off my work clothes, jump in the shower, put on some comfortable clothes, and try to watch TV, but I would just hermit myself. It was like I was numbing myself because it was so much emotional overload. And I was really struggling with that for many, many years. I look back and I can't believe I let it go on for so long. So what are some things that drain us of our vital energy? Overstressing, right? I think sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and we start thinking about the future, and that creates anxiety, and that can really burn our energy and drain it immediately. Excessive worrying. We start to worry about things that aren't even in our reality yet, aren't even in our existence, but we're already worrying about them. Overthinking and overanalyzing, that really just spins the wheels over and over again, and that's completely exhausting. Fueling drama and negativity, gossiping, those types of things can definitely lower your vibration, because we are made of energy, and each of us as a human being, we are an energetic being that creates a frequency or a vibration. We emit it out into our energetic field. And when we start gossiping or speaking negatively, it lowers our vibration because we find ourselves expressing lower vibrational emotions: guilt, shame, sadness, sorrow, pain, suffering. But when we're in a higher vibration, we are talking about those types of emotions like joy, elation, happiness, enlightenment, peace, love, those types of things. So there's a scale when it comes to where we fit into that vibrational frequency. And if we start to lower that, what it does is it can definitely hinder our energetic field. It brings it in closer to our body. And me and my sister joke that our energetic field, we can relate it to cheese. We love cheese, so we relate everything to cheese, but our energetic field has what's called an aura around us, and that aura can either be really close to our body, or it can really emit out and be able to reach others. But when we have those holes in our aura, like Swiss cheese, okay, the energy vampires, those people who the complainers, the negative Nancy's, all of those can kind of burrow into those little holes in our aura. So we always say cheddar is better, sharp cheddar is the best. So you want your aura to be strong and vibrant, so that way you aren't being affected by those negative Nancy's in the world. And how do you do that? You disconnect from the gossip, from the office drama, from the water cooler nonsense, and you step away from that. Complaining all the time, putting yourself into that victim consciousness, that definitely drains your energy and lowers your vibration. Taking things personally, you people pleasers out there, I'm one too. I would, try to please and please and please, and then I could never do enough trying to make people happy, and I was completely draining myself of every ounce of energy that I had. And one of the things that I struggled with was holding on to the past. when we hold on to the past, we don't allow natural flow of energy to come through us. We create resistance and restrictions, and what we resist persists. So we are living in that state of resistance, and that tightens up our bodies. And the meridians, the energetic rivers or streams that flow through our energetic system, get all blocked up, and they can't flow freely. The same goes for living in the future. That's living in a state of anxiety. We don't know what the future holds. So we want to always stay in the present moment, living in the now, and not focusing so much on the past, letting those things go, not focusing so much on the future, being open to spontaneity and things coming into our life with a natural flow of energy. Energy flows where attention goes. So if you are focusing your energy on stress, drama, gossip, complaining, the past, the future, that's exactly where your attention is, right? Your attention is there, so the energy is going to flow there, and it is depleting you of your vital life force. So how does empathy impact our energy? All right, I want to talk a little bit about what empathy burnout is. So there's many names for it: empathy burnout, compassion fatigue, vicarious trauma. And as humans, we are wired to feel emotions. That's one of the things being human is all about. We can feel our own as well as others' emotions. Some of us can, right? The clairsentient ones of us, the empaths. Modern neuroscience has actually proven that our brains have specific circuits that enable us to feel with others. And seeing someone in pain can cause us to feel pain. And you see this sometimes with husbands when their wife is going through labor, or their wife is eating a lot of food to nourish the baby, and then the husband starts eating a lot of food, or he starts feeling these pains. That's kind of the empathic piece where he's picking up on her pain or her hunger, and he's actually following through with it because their energy is so entwined and so close that he just naturally feels like her energy is his energy. Some may call it emotional intelligence, or others may even call it being highly sensitive. But our emotions and feelings are a huge part of our survival. Emotions are energy in motion, right? So some signs of empathy burnout: anxiety, critical thinking, poor listening, lashing out, impatience, lack of empathy, numbness. You begin to feel numb. That was really high for me. I would be dealing with all of these really highly emotional situations at work, and then I'd come home and my sister would call me about her emotional situation, and I couldn't handle it. I was on overload, and I would numb myself, and I would tune out and disconnect. Or you can go the opposite: emotional outbursts. That energy is built up so much in your body, it just needs to come out, and you have these times where you're just bursting into tears at Target, or you are having you're lashing out at someone at the grocery store and you don't even know why. And it's because all of that energy, all those emotions are pent up in there, and they're just trying to come out like that pressure cooker. Insomnia, that can be another one, another sign of that. So the expectation that we can be immersed in pain and suffering on a daily basis and not be touched by it is as unrealistic as expecting to be able to walk on water and not get wet, right? We are human beings, and we are in connection with one another on a regular basis. Whether we may not be touching them physically, but we are energetically entwined with every single person that we come in contact with on a daily basis. So what is an empath? We hear this term a lot, and it goes around. I know I've seen it a lot on the internet and on Facebook, and it was kind of a new concept for me. I'd say 2 years ago, I went to Utah and I attended an energy healing conference, and a woman had gotten up there and shared her story, and she talked about how she was an empath, and I was in tears. I didn't even know what an empath was, and her story resonated with me so deeply because every single thing that she said was everything that I was experiencing. And I knew at that moment that there was something more to the way I was handling the situations with the families that I was working with that had lost their loved ones. Not only was I mentally engaging with them and physically there, showing them those non-physical signs, but I was also emotionally and energetically there with these families. And I was picking up their pain and putting it in my backpack and carrying it with me. So an empath is someone whose cognitive empathy mode is on complete overdrive. It's someone who has the ability to pick up the thoughts, emotions, and energies of others and carry them as their own. And when the woman on the stage said that, I just had all of these light bulbs going off, like, oh my gosh, this is me. This is me. I remember working with a family years and years and years ago. And then just one morning I woke up sobbing my eyes out because I was thinking of this family and I could literally feel the pain of the mother losing her son. And I thought, gosh, that was years ago. Why am I still holding on to this? But being an empath, it was something that I was doing on an energetic level that I didn't even really realize I was doing. So do any of these situations sound familiar to you? And if they do, then you may be an empath too. So do you feel other people's physical ailments after you've spent time with them? That was something that I suffered with. I could sit with someone who had back pain and then I would leave and an hour later I had back pain. Do people often open up to you really easily and start sharing their story with you? Like you're at the grocery store and you're just standing in line and someone starts telling you their whole life story. That could be a sign that you're an empath. Do you carry the weight or the burdens of others after you've had interactions with them? Do you literally feel the pain of what someone else is going through, that pain and suffering? Do you feel anxious in crowds and have mood swings regularly? That was a huge one for me. I remember going to a bar and it just seemed like everything was amplified. It was like I was in this psychedelic experience and it was like, what is happening? And I could feel everything. I could feel everything around me and everyone's emotions. And it was so intense, I just had to leave. When in public, do you constantly feel overwhelmed with emotion and don't understand why? You may go to a concert or, go to your kid's school and you start to feel all of these emotions and you don't understand why. For me, it was like I'd be shopping at Target and I'd brush up against someone. And then the next thing I know, I'm in the bathroom sobbing my eyes out. And I didn't even really know what the heck was going on. I didn't know if it was mine or if it was someone else I had picked up. So the more you learn these triggers and you have a better understanding of them, you can actually protect yourself. So you have a better understanding of what is your energy, what are your emotions, and what are the emotions of others, especially if you're in a living situation with someone, right? It could be your spouse or a roommate or a friend, and they're experiencing something. Maybe they've had a death or a loss in the family, and you're finding yourself feeling like you're suffering a death or a loss and you don't understand why. So you could definitely be picking up on their energy. So how do we regain our power, right? So it's kind of a powerless situation is kind of how I felt when I thought, oh, I'm an empath. That's kind of a burden. But then the more I learned about it, I realized that it's actually kind of superpower. It's pretty cool. So one of the main things, and probably one of the most key things that you need to do as an empath, is to set clear boundaries and follow them. It's okay to say no and not give a reason. That's really hard for people pleasers because empaths are usually people pleasers. We have a tendency to want to help others before we help ourselves. We put self-care last so we can care for others. And saying no brings you back into your power, and you don't have to have a reason for it, and you don't have to feel guilty for not having a reason for it and for saying no. Ask yourself, are these my emotions or someone else's? I do this through applied kinesiology or muscle testing. It was a skill that I learned when I was going through my healing journey that I actually use when I work with clients. When we do the emotion code, you can kind of go in there and ask your subconscious mind, is this my emotion that I need to work on healing, or is it someone else's that I've picked up? And you can kind of move forward if it's someone else's that you've picked up. And if it's yours, then you move forward, through that healing path of letting go and releasing that emotion. Don't engage in negativity and gossip and drama, and stay away from those energy vampires. Stay away from those people who burrow into the holes of your Swiss cheese, and don't let them in. Just don't engage with them. You know who those people are, and it's really easy to diffuse it. Just don't engage, because the moment you engage, they are like latching on to your energy because they know that you have a light inside of you. And it's like moths to a light, right? They see that light and here they come, here they come. So you've got to kind of step away from that and allow yourself to have that protection. And you have a choice to either engage or to not engage. Something that was very helpful for me was meditation and journaling. So I would get home at the end of the day, or even starting off my day, I would start off my day with maybe 5 or 10 minutes of meditation and 5 or 10 minutes of some light yoga and some journaling. So I'd kind of set aside maybe 30 to 45 minutes every morning for myself. And that would set the tone for my day. It would set, where I wasn't anxious. I wasn't stepping into my day all stressed out. I had, kind of a more stable head on my shoulders when I walked in to my world, in the hospital. And especially being in a hospital, there's so much energy floating around that you could really just pick up. You're like a human Velcro in there, so it's really important to make sure that you center yourself and you're consciously aware of what you're stepping into, what situations. If you know you have to go to a party or to a work environment where there's going to be a lot of high intense energy, you're going to want to prepare yourself before you walk into that. Also, eating healthy, drinking lots of clean water, getting plenty of rest, and getting out into nature. I cannot emphasize this more. The earth puts off a natural frequency called the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance is an exact vibrational match to the human brain. And we live in an environment that is so artificial. Everything around us is so artificial, from our lights to our Wi-Fi, to our cell phones. Everything is artificial. So we are being bombarded every single minute of every day by electromagnetic frequencies that are artificial. And that can really hinder our energetic system. It can really drain us. It can bring us down. And the earth will reset you. If you spend time in nature, you don't even have to do much. Go out for a walk. If the weather's nice, put your bare feet on the grass, put your hand on a tree. All you really need to do is just spend some time in nature, and that will absolutely reset your energy. It will ground you, and it'll make you feel so much better. If you live in an environment that is the winter time, you can actually get a grounding mat. I've got them on my website that I can leave in the description below. They're very helpful. For you esoteric types, there's a lot of different things that you can do to protect yourself as well. There's many crystals and orgones. Orgones are the pyramids that have the resin and the crystal and the metal inside that help protect you against those electromagnetic frequencies. Shungite, black tourmaline, rose quartz, hematite, selenite are fantastic for shielding your energy. And essential oils. I know a lot of you are into the essential oils, and I think we take them or we utilize them because they smell good and they make us feel better. But really what they're doing is they're raising our energetic vibration. So each oil has its own energetic vibration, rose being the highest of them all. Frankincense is right up there too. So there are certain ones that just by smelling them or putting them on our skin, it completely cleanses our entire energetic system, and it can balance us and make us feel more grounded and more whole. So just a simple act of taking a shower and visualizing all of that day just run right off of you down the drain is super beneficial as well. So these are some of the things that you can do to rebalance your energetic system. And if you're an empath, I encourage you to watch my other video about how to know if you are an empath. And if you are completely being bombarded every day by people's energy, then you're going to want to take on some of these techniques and tools. And it may be difficult at first, and you may think, oh, I got to keep doing this. But the reality is the more you do it, the more it'll become natural to you, and you'll start to feel better. You really will. You'll start to feel that your energy is more balanced. And the more you strengthen your energetic system, the more you'll realize people will react differently to you, because as you strengthen your energy, you raise your vibration. I encourage you to watch my video about raising your vibration and some of the downfalls of that. But really, they aren't downfalls, because anytime you raise your vibration, you're actually putting yourself in a higher state of consciousness, and you're bringing more wonderful things into your reality, because our thoughts and our intentions actually create that energy that creates the reality around us. So you deserve to navigate your life in alignment with health, happiness, and abundance. To learn more about the services that I provide, including Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis, EFT tapping, and the emotion code, visit my website at www.theexistentialempath.com.